Hey guys, Stock Saturday. So it's a rather rough week for me, considering the S&P's up about 1.7% and the Nasdaq's up just under 3%. I'm down 5%. This is sort of off the back of Cleanspark, pretty much. Gold and silver miners are actually up on the week due to sort of a very strong Friday. Gold and silver both looking very nice, I think, due to economic news. But Cleanspark is down about 20%. So this is off the back of sort of a number of things. The ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs got approved, and sort of a lot of people were saying this would be a bit of a sell the news event, and that seems to have been the case. Sort of Cleanspark and the other miners, Coinbase and MicroStrategy, all sort of taken a larger hit than Bitcoin. I think people were buying those stocks as sort of proxies for the ETF. Once the ETFs are approved, you'd expect things like maybe not MicroStrategy, I still think, but Coinbase and the miners to be sort of a leverage play on Bitcoin, similar to gold and silver miners. But when you sort of couldn't buy the underlying essentially in a brokerage account, like you can now with the ETFs, I think people were piling into proxies and sort of leverage plays regardless, basically. But now you sort of can buy the underlying essentially and at very, very cheap rates. The sort of BlackRock one, for example, we were all saying, expect them to be 0.7, 0.8%, and that's come in at a sort of initially discounted 0.2 and going to be sort of 0.3 at some point. So bit of a fee war going on. So I think people are sort of getting out of miners potentially, and MicroStrategy and Coinbase. MicroStrategy especially. I mean, I do think people sort of just look at their market cap compared to Bitcoin, the Bitcoin they hold, and they're sort of forgetting about the debt because the underlying company, from what I've seen, can't anywhere near pay that debt off. So yeah, you think if the company were to go bust, for example, and they sort of sold off all of that Bitcoin, they would still have to pay off the debt, and you don't get sort of a share of that Bitcoin, if you like. So yeah, it's a bit of a down week for all of those proxies, unsurprisingly. Bitcoin down to sort of 43,000, but yeah, I still think longer term this is very positive, sort of potential large amount of inflows coming in, and this should push up the miners in particular. So we might as well get into the news of sort of what else has pushed the price down. I think potentially Cleanspark have, they've announced a $500 million offering, of a shelf offering, as they call it, of shares, and it's sort of unsure exactly how much they're going to use of this. They've announced an order for 160,000 of the brand new S21 miners, so they weren't happy being at 20 exahash. Basically, they want to sort of keep pace with the big boys, Riot and Marathon, and sort of potentially Core Scientific if they come out of bankruptcy. I suppose they are mining either way. But yeah, they've announced a sort of part order for 60,000 miners, delivery expected between April and June, at $16 a terahash, which is sort of a reasonable price, and that would get them to 32 exahash. And they also have an option, a fixed price option to buy another 100,000 later on at $16. So if we get a reasonable bull market and these prices start increasing and they want to expand, then they won't be paying increased price. So, and they can always just cancel that option. So I do think this is sort of a reasonable way of doing it. Gets them to 32 exahash, sort of hopefully by between April and June. Presume they're not going to be building a new facility to put these in, because it wouldn't be ready by April or May time. So I'm guessing they may be using some of this share offering to sort of purchase another facility with very old miners from somebody else and sort of repurpose that to use these new miners. Who they're going to be buying that off, I don't know, but that seems the only sort of viable option to have something ready by that time. I can't imagine they'd be buying miners sort of for April, May delivery time and not have anywhere to put them, because that would be rather a waste of money. I don't know. I can't imagine they don't seem to be keen on contract mining. Having mine sticking them in somebody else's facility and just taking the money off that. They seem to like to own their own facilities, so I would imagine we'll see an announcement of them buying a facility off someone else rather shortly. So this 60,000 is going to cost 193 million. That would sort of use up a fair amount of the offering, and then buying a facility, could be I don't know, another 100 million, say. So yeah, it could be looking at sort of 30 to 40 million shares, depending on where they end up selling them. Sort of, if they sell them now, it'd be a lot more than that, but hopefully they can be sort of a little bit strategic about it, as they sort of saying they have done. They've actually opened up a trading desk that I noticed for Bitcoin as well. To sort of potentially, if they have more of an ear to the ground of Bitcoin price and whether other miners are selling and things like that, they might know the price a little bit closer than we would, and maybe make a little bit of money out of their trading desk. So hopefully they can sort of use that knowledge to sell shares at a decent time as well, and not just dump them on the market. It'd be interesting to know. I don't think we're going to know whether they have sold them just yet, whether they sold them at sort of 10.50 before the drop. We don't really know, but I'm sure we'll find out over the next couple of months. So yeah, I might have to dig out the model yet again, even before the Q4 earnings, and just sort of see where we are. Will be a bit of sort of very approximate napkin maths, trying to forecast what the costs would be under, the ongoing costs once they have 32 exahash. But yeah, bit of a stab in the dark, but be good to know sort of where, roughly where that model puts them, including the dilution. So yeah, I might be doing that. So a couple of small bits of news. We've got monthly production figures from KGHM. I do like the So a couple of small bits of news. We've got monthly production figures from KGHM. I do just sort of keep an eye on these just to check all things are going well on production side. So they've got silver, 107 tonnes for November. A very nice number. Takes them to 1,325 tonnes for the year. I think it's sort of projecting about, I'd convert that to ounces because everyone else uses ounces. But them being sort of Polish lead, they're metric. Surprised they don't do kilos, but there you go. So yeah, that's about sort of 50 to 53 million ounces, I believe, which is very, very nice. Makes them still the largest, or second largest in the world, I think, behind Fresnillo. So yeah, very nice. And my bullishness on silver is sort of well catered for here. Copper as well, 60,000 tonnes and sort of 70,000 tonnes projected for the year. So very nice numbers. TSMC monthly revenue as well was coming at $176 billion, so down 8.4% on the year. Sort of, all of these months have been down on the year to varying degrees, except the beginning of the year, but you forecast this, so yeah, 4.5% overall down on the year. I didn't think that was too bad. Sort of had this one-off in October, whether that was either the iPhone sales or sort of a big Nvidia AI buy, I don't know, but yeah, sort of it's a good indication of Q4 earnings. Shouldn't be too bad, and hoping for a better 2024 with, again, potentially this big AI push. It's not quite come into the numbers yet, but sort of huge earnings forecasts from Nvidia and sort of AMD coming out with their competitors, and even Intel getting into AI. We don't know whether they're sort of building those chips themselves or if they would contract out to TSMC. Seems crazy. They're still saying that they're going to overtake TSMC in the next couple of years, but the projections are that they're going to be sort of pushing a lot of business contract out to TSMC. They could be a top 5 customer of TSMC in the next couple of years, which seems balmy, but I guess there's, plenty of business to go around. So I thought that was pretty good. Not a huge amount of economic news as well. Just Thursday, you had the US CPI numbers higher than expected across the board, which not ideal. They put this as green and better than expected. I wouldn't call that better just because the number's higher, but that is investing.com. So yeah, 3.9% on the core for the year. Monthly numbers as well, 0.3%, sort of as expected. A rounding error, I guess. But yeah, the Fed sort of not that keen on reducing rates, I'm guessing. If core numbers are going to be sort of this high, they want that at 2%. Or they want, core PCE at 2%. But I can't imagine it's going to change all that much from core CPI. This means sort of it isn't just an energy and food phenomenon if core is going up as well. So yeah, projecting 5.5% Fed funds rate down to 4 this year maybe isn't the right way to go. Jobless claims as well, sort of even less than expected. So a hot jobs market. Then you had UK numbers looking sort of not too bad. GDP in the green for November, and sort of manufacturing up. So yeah, not too bad. You had US PPI as well, sort of on the flip side to CPI. This is producer price, so sort of a leading indicator for inflation, actually lower than expected. So yeah, we'll see. This sort of slight spike in inflation could be short-lived, and you sort of have housing and other things that are lagging still to sort of feed their way into that. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, portfolio for the week. Not really a huge amount of change other than gold and silver, really, and Cleanspark. You've had sort of Stellantis holding up reasonably well. Broadcom back above 1100. TSMC above 100 again. Vanguard emerging markets still break even pretty much for me. Is break even after dividends, so that's pretty good. Yeah, most of the others sort of sticking where they were, really. Pan American obviously up on the day with gold and silver on the Friday, so that's still sort of at a reasonably low point. It's needs a big sort of gold and silver price to be sustained to get any real traction. And yeah, KGHM sort of coming down a bit. It's in the red now for me, but that's just sort of poor silver and copper numbers. So yeah, that needs a reasonable sort of bull market in those two to really push on. But that was why I put the large amount in them sort of for the next couple of years, not for the short term. And then the invest side, yeah, Chinese tech sort of still doing terribly. China potentially in recession. So that's not looking good unless they do sort of a huge amount of stimulus, get themselves out of that, and yeah, open up the sort of tech side and maybe open up the economy a little bit more and open up the markets, because that's what they've sort of looked at doing before, but it's never really sort of panned out. They don't like opening up to the world, so have to see where that goes. And yeah, the option side has sort of taken a fair whack. Even with gold and silver stocks being up on the week, the options are down because they don't sort of always move one-to-one with the stocks. If they, have a sharp downturn, it's a bit like leveraged ETFs. They can sort of drop and then stock comes back up and they don't rise up quite so much. But yeah, I'm not in this for the short term. I would ideally like to sort of either exercise them at the higher prices I'm hoping for in a couple of years, or maybe just sell them and take that money. But yeah, it's potential buying opportunity because they do still have this £3,000 of cash, and certainly sort of Equinox was looking pretty much it's nearly at the price. The end of 2025 options are nearly at the price that I've been buying for the last sort of 6 months or so. So I may add a little bit more to those if I can, but we'll see. Cleanspark obviously come down quite a fair bit. No surprise there. Not something I'd be looking to buy it sort of while the stock's $8, but yeah, I'll have a look maybe, see what the prices are. But yeah, leave your thoughts in comments below and like and subscribe. See you soon.